What's up, everybody? It's Alistair. I hope everyone's feeling good. And here on Headspace, we're reviewing Andor Episode 4, Aldhani. I wanted to cover Episode 4, Aldhani, and Episode 5, The Axe for Goods, and Episode 6, The Eye, all in one shot, but I'm thinking it's probably better if we just do it all three separately. This one's definitely very adult. This episode and Andor in general really showcase like these wisdoms you would have and you would show. Arguably, you don't really teach them, but you get to see them how they actually are. Whether it looks the same in Ferrix or Aldhani, someone is seeing it and someone is taking note. Whether or not if that wisdom is being added on to or being saved for way later for it to bring the similar life to its surroundings could be the main motivation why you would take on any action. But with that hard point in mind, we'll actually get into the episode. We start off on Luthen's amazing ship, and on which Luthen eventually gets Cassian to agree to help him with one of his ongoing plans or dealings with Aldhani, but only after which he's showed Cassian the steps he can take in any direction and how much like room he really has instead of like all his measures to flee or hide. It's a good moment for Luthen because it kind of seems like he had this kind of like pent up in him, ready to get going for someone and extend like Cassian's bubble instead of the little spear that it is to wider reaches. Like Cassian barely takes a step forward in interest, and then instantly Luthen like rewards him with that he'll pay him like 200,000 credits for doing this for him because he's not going with them. And this is where you get to see a lot more like branches of the storyline start to grow and reach out until inevitably they'll all twist into each other to make that visual. So this is when the story starts spreading out, and Luthen takes Cassian to Aldhani, and they both meet Vel, but she's all brakes on anything that's happening. That's really like everyone's attitude except Nimic and Cinta, but everyone like it kind of just shows everyone's condition about like if there's like one little hiccup happening, then like they're like not ready to do anything, even though it should be like not as hard to junk up their gears. And Aldhani to me kind of looks like Scotland, It's probably New Zealand though, because I think that's where they've been shooting most of these there. And here, the Empire's flying around in the starfighters or the TIE fighters at least once a day. So they were pretending to be herding goats or pretending to be outsiders, mystics, uh, and Skeen, Terramin, and Gorn that comes later, the officer at the base, uh, all pretty much just want to hear like a really good reason or getting some comfort about why they should like add one more person, even though again like why wouldn't you want more help? And eventually, like it's dinner. Cinta's just dressed Cassian's wound from Ferrix on his arm, and they're like kind of like nagging him a little bit because they're like wanting him to memorize all of this little like tablet thing in like one night. It's like a Aldhani phrase book, the schematics of the base they're at, and they're like just trying to eat. And Cassian's like, yeah, sure. Like, Vel has to like agree with that, and just so they can like initiate him, even though like again only like Nemec's like vocally like heck yeah, like I know he wants to help, and I want to feel it anyway. So the only one really like trying to reach and cross the emotions and what's been happening. I just like it later, or maybe before that even. I think Nemec and Vel are like presenting, and then Cassian's like, "Man, this is a stupid amount of like, like uh detail or whatever." Because like they have like a little like scale model of like the whole thing. He's like, "You obviously had like a lot of time. Like, you still don't want my help? Are you sure?" like not Nemec is stupid, but just like the fact that like they were doing this and doing that, and they're like putting up a fight about having Cassian there, and they have like a little like toy wooden carving of a little freighter ship that they're about to steal, and the whole valley's like on a piece of bark with like a bunch of like moss all over it. But they know a lot about the planet Aldhani or and the people. It's like every 3 years there's like Makani Bildani, the Eye of Aldhani, the crystalline shower from space. On that explanation, there's like not a hesitation. There's like no stuttering. They keep going for like a while, at least as far as it goes. It probably could have kept going. It seems like they could have been like researchers or like academics for this area, but they're like having to do this instead. You don't really get much of their backstory, but like Senta's the medic and everyone else is like higher rank than Namek or experience. But he seems like the better study and like better engineer than everyone there. Maybe in another setting, if the Empire hadn't taken over, they would have been like the people in like positions of responsibility, like maybe the political ones, Obviously, there's a doctor there, so even if they just came here, they could have just like added themselves to the Aldhani uh, structure or economy. And getting back to where we last saw Luthen, he gets himself ready and even needing to change his demeanor to a happy like merchant uh, antiquities guy, and eventually Mon Mothma gets thrown into the mix. And here it seems like they feel like on a on Coruscant, it kind of looks like they feel like they're being watched all the time, or there's a lot of people around a lot, and they kind of have to like play the role and do what everyone's already aware of. It kind of looks frustrating because like, oh yeah, like I'm buying a gift. It's hey, we need to talk. And then Mon Mothma's like just kind of it's obviously not the first time like kind of like speaking like that, but kind of looks incredibly like already like something for like an outsider like watching their conversations, but like that's just me. Like seems like a little too like uh rehearsed to be like something that really happens all the time. But Luthen's like, oh, you need a gift for your husband? Oh, yeah, like come and look at this stuff over here. This is a space mace. This represents fertility and stick things. And then on the side, he's like, if you gotta make a move, I gotta make a move. And then Mon Mothma's like, oh, ha, 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 ha. That's not really the thing I'm looking for. Ooh, the back. And then Luthen's like, yeah, the back. Yeah. It's like this stuff like you think like the paparazzi would be like paying attention to, like trying to like deconstruct all their movements. But like both of them are like rebellion, and like they think they're like that's like what everyone's gonna be expecting, that they were like fluttering to like immediately. It's not really an act, but like they also got like sandwich stuff in there. Like you're like trying to like surprise a little kid, even like almost like for real, except not what's happening. They're like trying to like oh like we're gonna go. So, like they're like trying to like invite all these people to a surprise party for like a little kid or something. All right, honey, like go play over there. Like just talk to the assistant, and it's just like the driver though. But the paparazzi only like in the news only sees this like one little part. It's like, oh my gosh, like there's there's something happening here. Like yeah, like you probably would hear the whole story, but you're just kind of like trying to like jump in and it's like the worst scavenger hunt ever. It's like for some other kid, and like these teenagers get it and like take it to the news. Nothing like that happens. But there's these like parallels you could like kind of like throw them against the news, and just like anyone like that would be on the news. That's not like, oh, the weather, cool. But that's just my rant. When they go to the back, like Mon Mothma uh, puts the stakes up for her participation in the rebellion and is wondering about some money Luthen was about to use. And like I said, Luthen like just kind of like, oh, I had to. There's not much like other opportunities for me to get this going. And then like the storyline, it moves the focus to Mon Mothma. It goes to her being at home with her husband, and her husband's really not so much on her side with her work goals, and like he's inviting these people over from not exactly her work, but people that are going against what she's doing at the Senate. They're like blocking some sort of trade route to where like people can't get food and they would be starving. But he wants them over so they could be like all jovial. He's like, "Oh, you'll be on the normal side of the table. Like we'll be over there having fun." I was like, "Oh, cool! All these people that professionally like hate me are gonna be at my house for your birthday. All right then." And she pretty much like can have her way like about most things, except like pretty like high ticket items like the trade route thing. But like over like in like the intimate or personal area, like it's like very like walking on eggshells. Eventually she like doesn't really cave, but she's like, I'm returning your present. I don't know if that's gonna like change my headache right now, but it's going back. And finally, pertaining to the Starpath unit and Ferrix, the Imperial officers having a meeting are still like stepping out. You kind of see like their work dynamic, and like everyone's like workflow is like super like uh, armed up to where like they should be like not even like focused on anything else, but they're like the I don't think you get any of the officers' names really, except the the major one. But Deidre, I I didn't see. She's just like itching to like do something else or like come off of like her like usual work routine. She keeps going to the major to want to get the authority over the Ferrix thing, and we learn that she's like uh supervising over 2 sectors, and the guy that has the authority over it is supervising over 6 sectors, and she's already like steadily climbing the ladder at work, and she's like the only one that he gives a compliment this whole time, but she's still like, oh, like we need to get this because like I noticed a pattern. And the major's like, a pattern? Like that's all? It's like another one of those like NPC like people in charge almost. It's like, no, like just stick to script, and along with Chief Haynes, and you get to see him earlier. It's like I wasn't even a part of this. Like they're like berating Cyril and the Sergeant Linus, the agent of chaos, in my opinion. He wasn't even like throwing like a wrench into the work. So he was just like, yeah, this'll be something. He's like, I pray to Loki. I love like all these like supporting characters that doesn't seem like they're like doing much with like everything. He's definitely not like Joker chaos, but it's like very like in society chaos. Where there would be like a standard outcome for like most things. He's like, oh, I get to say it. Let's see what happens. I'm all for you, Commander Cyril. Like, it's just a bit of butter, ain't it? There's just like all this stuff happening with him. While we're talking about them, like the Empire just takes over completely, and like the security people that was there, that's like the like ocean blue and orange like uniforms are like no longer in control. And Cyril has to go back to his mom's house. And presumably like Chief Hain, the Sergeant Linus is doing something else too. Sergeant Linus is like the more humorous thing happening if you know what's going on there. Or even if like that's not even what's going on, but it's still like very funny to me. But feeling like the low person on the totem pole, Deidre has to go kind of like around like the person with the 6 sectors and the major uh, to get into investigating Ferrex. But over here in this part of Coruscant, looks like they have more of a problem of getting stuff to go slower because it kind of parallels like what happened in Ferrex with Cassian, but like here it's only her, and like everything happens like so quick. Like she has to like kind of like wave in her hand to even like be seen for her turn to like the the do-si-do of this area. She's like trying not to get lost in the exchange, but she seems to be like losing track of her own hand, and like she's like extending herself into like this whole mechanism of the Empire. I'm sure it's very like form fitting and structurally safe and stuff, but she's just like wanting to like shine out a little bit, which makes me really feel bad for her. Like me saying it like that, she's almost like complaining. She's like, they don't even like let us sign these papers. Like it's like we do, but it all says Empire, Empire, Imperial. Already kind of like showing like a little like different track that she was like made for like something else. Also, not even like only something else. In a real life thing, I think that's when someone would do like to start like donating or doing charity work or just like wanting like office like little get-togethers. Like she like is like super hyped that there's like something like happening that's like oh like the coordination of something happening like and there could be rebels, but it looks like it's almost like has to be like movie level like escalating, but in normal life it would be like just be like oh she like likes bringing up and discussing like the news or something like, but only the stuff that's like from the area. Nothing like dire, like where she would have to like spiral her life out of control because we still have to like maintain stuff. She's just like, oh yeah, rebels. Like that one extreme like office worker that's just gonna like way into like anything that's like not in their regular life. It's like, oh, you're so unorganized. There's just like any out of the ordinary thing. It's like, oh, you don't want to talk to me, and this is when everyone would usually talk to me. I believe we have ourselves a contender here. It's like, oh no, please go on. Like, do everything that would usually like upset me. But obviously, this isn't upsetting me, and this is not gonna boil over in any way. But like, this is giving me like my jollies at Django. He's like, hey, not you. Like, what are you doing? What? But he didn't. You know better. Put that back. I just imagine like Cassian pretty much walking by in this situation. It's like, hey, just doing whatever that would normally upset this one person. And then like looking over, like this third person is looking over at the like Deidre, like, what? Did you have a crush on him or something? Like I thought she was married. Oh, Cassian sucks. That's about it for the story on episode 4, Aldhani. This one's like really showing off the area. It's really a pretty episode with all this foliage and fauna, and then the kind of like gold and metal tones of the Coruscant. It gets you like really into it, and like makes like a lot of people just like want to get like the best TV, so they can like have it like encapsulating their whole vision and like not noticing like their wall and furniture. Kind of like what some of us would do and like sit in front of the TV whenever they would be able to just like sit on the ground and you just like have it like distort your whole like perception just by like sitting very close to it, despite the video quality. Oh, and I guess I'll discuss the Mon Mothma's like trajectory speed, like for just like regular life, because we got Cassian's, which it's very spread out, and everyone in Ferrix is, but it's like very elaborated and like deliberate, but it's like so much space. Like you would want something more like quick to happen if you were like not so like settled. And then the Deidre's, where it's like very quick succession and like a lot of like different things like in the same 10 minutes that Cassian could have, but he has all this like time to like mosey along. And then it goes to Mon Mothma. She has all this time, but like when it's urgent, it's like kind of like an open span to her grasp, and she can like affect and change everything, but the finer details aren't like as good. And hers is like the middle ground, where she gets like get to see options and then mid-level interaction with everything, but like everything's like a little off and not as like picturesque as it seems to other people, only for her to like really like only be doing one thing with all her goals and aspiration towards everything. Like if it was anything else, you'd be able to go in there, like adjust or like say something, or like show them something to like where you like want it to change a little bit. But she's spread herself out so much to like where she kind of like can't get everything to the great detail. Like her husband's like, oh, like, well, you were super busy, like, even though it kind of looks like he was like cheesing it, like, I kind of did that on purpose. Like, I knew you wouldn't notice, and then you would like said that didn't want them to come, but you probably would have sent your like security guard or like someone to tell me about it. It's like a neutral ground, but like usually it's like the plus side, the negative side. If it was like a integer bar, it's just kind of like, and then like the middle part's the neutral part. But whenever there's like one neutral like option, there's like several different neutral ones. It's like, well, yeah, this is neither good or bad. But there's like all this, blah blah blah. But you get like a lot of the factoring points like right there, where the either side would be like, your good's my bad, and then your bad's my good. But they have like a clear direction where like she kind of like doesn't, depending on what it is. Mon Mothma can like do all this, but she like wouldn't be able to leave Coruscant and have like the same extension. And she's like trying to like reach beyond that with the trade routes, but like, Coruscant keeps calling her back home, even just as a place to think of like somewhere else. He's like, oh, blah, blah. It's like, oh, work. It's like, I'm supposed to be at home. Like, I'm the one to do and talk about home stuff. So, yeah, I guess this was a very nice, like table setup. That's all I had for you, though. Thanks for joining us on Aldhani, episode 4. For the Andor rewatch, Andor review discussion. We'll see you at the next one, and like and subscribe, always appreciated. Be ready for episode 5, the Acts That Forgive, and leave a comment down below if in your sphere of influence that Andor was popular, or was this secret thing that you had to like enjoy off to the side, or a person even. Ooh, I hope it doesn't get too dicey for you just by saying it into the universe. Like it was Scotland, right? Kind of looks like Scotland. But hey, you look good, and it shows.